So I've just bought this Audi A5 3-litre V6 and I'm starting to see why I got it so cheap.
So I'm not going to lie, I'm very happy with my purchase of the Audi A5 as my daily. It's fast, especially when mapped, practical, cheap to run and will stand incredible with an aftermarket exhaust.
But before we start modifying this thing, we need to make sure it's safe to drive, because when we put it up on the ramp in the last video, we noticed a few things that need sorting and need changing. And also, since I've been driving it around, I've noticed a few weird clicks and knocks and bangs. So let's get it inside and take a look at it. And once again, I've arrived down at Hatton Motorsport because they've kindly allowed me to use their ramp because our driveway is still not completed. And whilst we're here, we're going to be installing these bad boys from MTEC. The guys over at MTEC have kindly sent me out some discs and pads and also some copper grease for the A5, and they look absolutely amazing. I think these are dimpled and grooved, maybe, I think that's what they're called. Yeah, they look really, really good, so definitely an upgrade. And to be fair, the A5 brakes definitely do them because this is what they're like now. Yeah, I think my brakes are a little bit warped, but they still stop. So yeah, they're pretty terrible, but these have also got like a coating on them as well, I think, so it stops them from rusting, so that's all really good. If you do want to go ahead and check them out, I'll leave all the information down below, their email, their website and everything. So if you do have any questions, drop them an email, but have a look at their website and see if they do them for your car. Let's go get them installed. So Steve's just bringing the car in now, but I just want to say a massive thank you to the tint guy here in Cornwall for getting the windows tinted. If you ever need any tints in the Cornwall area, definitely hit him up. So cool, the car's up on the ramp and we've taken the wheels off so we can give it a bit of an inspection in a minute. But Steve's currently busy, so what I thought we'd do is fit this new gearbox mount. Now it's about 13 quid from eBay and it literally goes here. We just remove those two bolts and then put that in there. And apparently what it does is improve sort of the gear changes and stops the gear stick from wobbling under acceleration. And yeah, for 13 quid, let's install it and see what it's like.
So these are very long bolts with small threads which have been in here over 15 years. So as you can imagine, they're going to put up a bit of a fight. And they were ridiculously tight. We tried undoing them by hand slowly using WD-40 and even electric tools, but we still couldn't get them to come out. We kept slowly undoing them, but then the inevitable happened.
Yeah, they're not going to break it.
I know, that's what I'm worried about.
So what have you done, Brett?
So I thought, whilst Steve was gone, I'd try a tiny little modification that required taking out two screws, putting in a plate, which goes in lovely, and putting two screws back in. Anyway, one came out absolutely lovely. And you see the problem here? Yeah, the other half of it stuck up in there, I accidentally snapped it. So, yeah, we could have a bit more of a bigger job for such a tiny little mod. We should be able to get access to this by taking off this under tray, taking off this gearbox mount. We'll hold up the gearbox with a stand, and hopefully we should see the top of the threads. The other side of it, we can then drill it out and then re-tap it and get a new bolt. But yeah, what turned to be in like a 2-minute job that would cost about 13 quid is now turning into probably a few hours job, which is fantastic. So yeah, let's get cracking, then we can do the brakes.
So this was a little bit of a setback, but it is what it is. So now we need to try and get access to this bolt. So first of all, we need to remove the plastic under tray, which will give us access to the gearbox. So now part of the gearbox is supported on this stand, we can go ahead and remove this bracket. And once that was removed, it revealed a rubber mount. So we removed that and then it revealed the snapped bolt. And then it's just 3 last bolts to get that bracket removed. I'm so glad we found it so easily. This could have been a lot worse.
Right, so it actually turned out a little bit better than I thought because we managed to get down this mount from the actual gearbox itself, which reveals the actual bolt that's stuck in there. So hopefully we can weld a nut on there maybe and get that off, or even put some mole grips on it and pull it out. I don't know, but I'll leave that to Steve and see what he suggests.
So this is where Steve jumped in and saved the day, and he definitely hates me now because this is not the first time I've done this. But anyway, this thing put up a fight. We tried loads of heat, we tried WD-40, we tried welding nuts to the bolt, but in the end we had to drill it out very carefully. But amazingly, Steve managed to do it, so let's put it all back together. So now that's done, let's get on with looking at the underside of the car to see if there's any issues, and being an older car, there probably is going to be a fair few.
Right, so Steve, how bad is it looking?
Not horrendous.
It's not terrible, is it?
No.
There's a few problems.
Yeah,
but...
this is the sort of things you'd expect for a car this age, really.
Yeah. I mean, what should we start with?
CV boot.
Yes. So we've got a bit of a leak. It's a little bit damp, and it's actually, well, the grease has gone all in the arch, all in the wheel.
It goes over all the brake pads. And
yeah, look at it. And then you can actually see the tear. Well, I think it's up in there somewhere.
It's over the other side.
So yeah, that definitely needs replacing soon.
Yeah, that'll be the first thing. Really, because again, being an MOT fail, it's a safety thing. Flicks grease all over everywhere. You can see it's all over the back of your caliper.
Yeah.
If that gets all over your brakes, imagine that grease over your brakes.
Also, with the shuddering in the brakes, you said it could be something to do with a ball joint or something.
Ball joint or a track rod end.
Yeah.
So you can get that. And now, since taking the wheels off, it's looking more like it could be that because of the fact that you've actually got new pads and discs on.
I know.
So someone's already picked up on that issue, thought they've had a brake wobble. That's
the thing, it looks like someone's gone, oh, there's brake wobble, it must be brakes. They put new brakes on and it's not that. Yeah, you're saying some of the bushings look pretty dry.
They all look a little bit old.
Yeah.
There's not, well, I say there's not excessive play. That's kind of down to who's MOT in it. But there is play in the bushes. There's always going to be play in a rubber bush.
Yeah,
but there's
got to be in it.
There's play to the extent on some of the front arms there. You can move it and you can see almost the pin start to move inside the bush. That's usually that's gone too far.
Yeah.
So it's getting there or thereabouts.
Yeah. Another thing we were talking about is every single time I go if I reverse up my drive and then brake, I hear like a knock. But it's not, it's more of like a twang, it's like a real sharp knock or a clicking sound, and it's coming from this side here, so it might be related to CV, maybe?
Generally with CV you would find like on lock, forward or backwards, so if you were reversing up at a sharp angle,
yes, it doesn't do it on lock.
So you get a ticking or a clicking or a knocking with the CV.
It's not that, so I tried that.
Because obviously that's a dry joint, so it's, to me, normally when you are going forward or backwards and you press the brakes gently at low speed and you get a knock, it's usually shoes. If you've got rear shoes for the handbrake, it can sometimes be them grabbing, or it can be the pads shifting slightly.
Definitely this side.
At that side at the front.
100%. It's so loud and you can hear it, like it's definitely the front.
Yeah, so the likelihood is it could be a bush then knocking backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
Or the track rod end, inner and outer tie rods. We'll put the wheels back on and we'll give them all a wiggle in a bit. Another little issue, although it's not an issue, it's just annoying, using silicone to seal up exhausts.
Yeah, it's definitely been a bit of a bodge here, isn't there?
Yeah.
It looks like Halford's repaired, like
there's a ding. There's a ding there, so the exhaust has been hit and flattened a little bit, so someone's just pumped it full of silicone to...
Yeah. Well, we'll be changing it soon anyway, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, they do. That does look like a Halford's bodge repair. Yeah, so rear subframe, I mean, it come up on the MOT as being rusty. I suppose they're just covering their tracks, but it's not at any point going to go through anywhere, like you would worry. It's just literally surface rust, like very flaky.
So at the back, are there any issues?
Not really. Again, bushes just look old and a bit old and crusty, and that's the anti-roll bar powder coats that are coming off.
So not really that bad?
No, not at all. Not horrendous. It's when you start to try and undo bolts that you'll come across problems that you don't see.
Right, so another small issue I had was the screen wash was leaking. Every couple of days I get in the car and it would say low screen wash, but I kept topping it up and it just kept saying it was low. So I thought there must be a leak somewhere. And then in the last video when I put the car up on the ramp, I noticed a small sort of old pile of what looked like either coolant or screen wash. Because it was like green or blue, I thought, well, the car's coolant is pink, so it can't be that. It must be screen wash. It was down in this area here. And then what I noticed going through photos is when I parked the car up, I had a puddle in this area on the floor every single time I parked it up. But yeah, it was really weird, especially because the actual reservoir for the screen wash is over this side, not that side. So it was a bit weird. But then I realised the actual headlights have washers on them. So what I decided to do was I took out the headlight bracket, and underneath there was sort of the motor which shoots out the washer fluid. In behind there's like a 90-degree angle, like plastic clip, and it turns out, if you see the video on screen now, you'll see that it was just, well, there was water coming out from everywhere. So what I did then was I just went on eBay, bought a new one, plugged it in, and that has now solved the issue. Now, of course, being me, it didn't go straight forward. I ended up rounding a bolt for the headlight bracket and also breaking the bracket because I was trying to put my hand in through. So yeah, I had to buy a new bracket on eBay for about 26 quid, I think it was. And then we took out the old rounded bolt and put a new one in. But that's now all sorted and the leak is all good. And remember in my last video when I tried to fix the AC, I kind of come to the conclusion it needed a regas.
So I was going to put the car into a garage to get this done, but I thought, what's the fun in that? I might as well try it myself. So I checked what was compatible with my car and then bought the correct kit. To fill it up, I had to run the car for 3 minutes with the AC running, connect the hose and start filling it up. And boom, just like that, my AC is now cold.
That's the clip. That.
So we definitely have a few things to sort, but I guess that's the case with all project cars, you never finish them. So it's now a few days on and a replacement CV boot has arrived, so let's get that fitted and then do the brakes. So to start, I jumped up in the car and held down the brake pedal so Steve could go ahead and undo the hub nut. So with that done, I went ahead and took apart the brakes, starting with the brake caliper clip, then pried the caliper away from the caliper holder, removed the old pads, which revealed something pretty strange. The actual pads had so much life left in them. I then went ahead and removed all the grease from the suspension components, and as you can see, it was covered in it. I then used a strap to hold up the caliper so it didn't get in the way, and then removed the caliper holder bolts. With that out of the way, I then used a lever bar to get the drive shaft out of the hub, and then proceeded to remove the old CV boot. And I tell you what, this is a very messy job. And then with that removed, I used some cloth to remove the old grease. And now it's time to put on the new CV boot, and to do this you're going to need this special tool, as you can see here. And don't ask me what it's called, not a clue. We left the boot in some boiling hot water for a few minutes and then put it straight on the car, and as you can see, Steve makes it look pretty easy. And then we went ahead and added all the new grease.
Right, so CV boot is now on. Wow.
What's on?
Grease on my forehead. How bad is it? Does it look bad?
No, it's not horrendous. You might as well carry on.
Alright, I do. So the CV boot is now on and the grease is in. So now we need to get these, well, obviously the new ones, and secure them around the boot, tighten it all up, put it all back together.
I was properly getting into this and really enjoyed getting my hands dirty. And if you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like, leave a comment, and also subscribe because it really helps out the channel. But anyway, let's get straight into doing the brakes. So before we do anything, we need to remove the brake fluid reservoir cap. And we do this to allow us to push the pistons back freely. It's also worth putting some cloth around the reservoir just in case it spills out. And in my case, it did, so I'm glad I put it there. So I'm not going to go over how to install brakes because we've done it before on the channel, but whoever installed the last discs snapped the screw to hold it to the hub. So thanks for that. But luckily it's not required because wheel bolts hold the disc in place anyway. So on goes the new disc, and I'm just going to use a couple of wheel bolts just to hold it there in place, just to make it a little bit easier to work on. And now we can go ahead and reinstall the caliper bracket. And with that done, we're going to go ahead and replace the brake pad wear sensor. Now on this car, strangely, it only has it on the front passenger side, not on the rears, which I find pretty strange. Is that normal? Let me know in the comments down below. With that plugged in, I then went ahead and installed the pads, and I then realised that the pads need to be placed in the caliper first before putting it onto the caliper bracket. And yet again, this was pretty strange for me. Normally I put the pads on the caliper bracket and then put the caliper over the top. And with that all done, we can go ahead and do the final step, which is installing the clip. And just a quick tip, when you're replacing brake discs, make sure you're spraying down with brake cleaner to remove any oils or greases. So I cracked on and did all the brakes, but when it came to the rears, we came across a bit of a problem. Now on the Audi A5, it uses an electronic handbrake, and for some reason we couldn't wind back the rear caliper. Now we thought it must have to go in some sort of service mode. And after a quick Google, we found out a really easy way of doing it. All you have to do is remove the electronic handbrake connector and plug 12 volts straight to it, and depending which way around you have the connectors, it will either push the caliper out or in. And once we did that, we could put the pads in the caliper and put them on the discs. And boom, just like that, the brakes are all done and looking amazing. Now I just want to say a massive thank you to MTEC for supplying these, and I must say it was nice that they included some new bolts with thread lock and also a new wear sensor. And if you want to buy some for your own car, there'll be all the links in the description down below.
So it's all well and good them looking better, but has it actually solved the issue? So I'm just coming down the same stretch of road now at the same sort of speed. Is it going to shake? No! Yes, it's fixed! So it's now about a week on from when I last spoke to you guys, and I want to give you a little bit of an update on the drive. And well, as you can see, it is pretty much done. There's a few little bits that need doing and painting and a little bit more rendering, but it's mostly there so we can actually drive on it and actually use it. And when it's fully done, I reckon it's going to look so good. And this now means we can work on cars at home, like the good old days. But unfortunately, this is where I'm going to have to wrap up today's video. If you did go ahead and enjoy it, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment, and also subscribe, and I'll catch you guys very, very soon in a brand new video.
Oh yeah.